Coming up next on this edition of In the City, a Murfreesboro resident turns 107 years old. Also, Rutherford County's property assessor explains the process of reassessing property. Plus, a new crime-fighting program is being implemented for multi-housing facilities. And the Murfreesboro Fire and Rescue disperses into a Murfreesboro neighborhood to check and replace smoke alarms. We'll tell you all about those stories and more coming up right now on this edition of In the City. Welcome to another edition of In the City, your source for what's happening right here in the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Michael Linn White. Mabel Robertson is a special lady in more ways than one, and not many can say that they have lived to see the age of 100. We were honored to be invited to her 107th birthday party.
Family Staffing Solutions is a personal care assistance company to help seniors in and out of the home. Back in 2012, they started the Century Club, where they honor seniors aged 100 and above. That year, they found 13 living in Rutherford County.
This is our 6th year we are having this celebration. We have celebrated over 30 centenarians in Rutherford County over that amount of time. It's really wonderful. We've met some amazing people, amazing ladies, and some gentlemen too.
The honoree this day was Mabel Robertson, born February 20th, 1911. And yes, if you do the math, makes her 107 years old. Her neighbor and friend talks about what kind of amazing lady she is.
She's been my neighbor for 50 years. I get her mail usually every day and pick up her paper up to her every morning since she cannot do that. But she is up and her mind's better than mine. She's very sharp. And it's been my privilege to be able to be a neighbor to her.
She's our oldest person in Rutherford County. I know that she drove till she was 102. I also know that she outlived her life insurance.
Mabel grew up in Bradeville, Tennessee, but eventually moved to Murfreesboro, where she worked at Chromalox. She remembers the transportation she used to get from Bradeville to Murfreesboro.
My granddaddy and grandmother had a pony and buggy back when they had those, and and the pony's name was Dolly. There was just an old country road from Murfreesboro to Bradeville. It was just an old country gravel road when we lived. But then in later years they paved it, if that's what it is now.
Do you remember the Depression?
The Depression? Oh, Lord. Do I? Thought we'd starve to death.
Do you remember when electricity came in?
Yeah, oh, Lord, yeah. We were one of the first ones got it, yeah. Out on Bradeville Road, yeah.
And running water?
Yeah, running water in the bathroom and all.
Yeah.
So we didn't have all those conveniences back then.
One of the more popular questions that Mabel gets is, what's your secret to longevity?
I don't know. I've wondered myself why I was left here all these years to be 107 years old. And my grandchildren, different ones, they'll say, well, you were left here for us. You were left here for us. You were left here for a purpose. So
if anybody deserves a key to the city, it's Mabel, and the mayor was there to do just that.
So this year you've got the key to City Hall is right here. So
well, how nice.
You're officially.
How nice. And I appreciate you coming
Well, happy
by.
birthday.
She takes care of herself. She went shopping the other day with a neighbor. A neighbor helps out with getting her to the grocery store, appointments, hair appointments, and things like that. But she lives by herself and takes care of herself, and She's amazing.
Rutherford County's property assessor explains the reason for reassessing residents' properties and the state law he has to follow. It's important to reassess properties because values change over time.
Every 4 years in Rutherford County, we're required by law to reassess and equalize property values, bring everything to market.
The massive growth here in Murfreesboro puts a strain on infrastructure. Things like schools and roads are affected, and they are primarily funded by property taxes. And property values must be equalized to make sure everyone is paying the correct amount, and that's where the reappraisals are needed.
If we don't equalize the values, we will have some people paying too much money because the values on their properties may not have increased as quickly as others, so it would be inappropriate to charge them the same rate that we're charging someone else.
The tax assessor does not set the tax rate or collect the tax. The rate is set by the state and is based off recent sales, rental data, and current costs. Mitchell explains how the monies received from the appraisals and assessments is dispersed. He says the property assessor's office only disperses funds where they need it to go, and to think of it like going out to eat.
If you've ever gone out to dinner with a couple of friends and somebody will order chicken, somebody else will order a steak, and then you've got somebody else that wants surf and turf and they get steak and lobster. And then the waiter comes over and gives you the check, and they haven't divided it up, they just gave you the check for the whole bill. Now, if you didn't split the check and set a value on everyone's meal, and everyone just each paid a third, well, the person that ordered the chicken would be paying way too much, way more of the bill than they should. So just like the waiter splitting the check, that's what the property assessor does. We assign a value to each meal or each property so that when the bill comes, which is the tax levy, everybody pays proportionally the amount that they're supposed to.
If you have any questions or concerns about the assigned value of your property, Mitchell says after June 1st, when the appraisal notices are sent out that tell you how much your property is worth, feel free to call their office at any time or send them an email. All of their information can be found at rutherfordcountytn.gov/property assessor. Reporting for CityTV, I'm Michael Linn White. The city has seen an uptick in crimes in multi-housing properties near the MTSU campus. So a program that is used all over the country is being implemented here in Murfreesboro that will make these areas safer.
The City of Murfreesboro Police Department, in partnership with Middle Tennessee State University, announced the beginning of the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program February 16. The program implements strategies, shares data, and increases police presence to ensure the safety of residents and students who live in off-campus housing. The multi-housing facilities that meet the criteria for the program and implement the city's recommended best practices for safety are eligible to become certified and receive a special emblem displayed to prospective residents.
Basically what it's designed to do is it's designed to reduce the crime in multi-housing communities, reduce the fear of crime from the residents, allow managers to kind of get back in doing management responsibilities as opposed to crisis management, build a better relationship between the apartment communities and the police departments.
There are 3 phases to the program for property managers. Phase 1 requires attending an 8-hour training seminar presented by the Murfreesboro Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program. Phase 2 requires a security assessment of the property by a police officer. And Phase 3 includes conducting a resident crime prevention meeting known as a safety social.
A lot of times what happens is you get a resident in there and it won't necessarily be the resident that's causing the problem. It may be the resident's family members or guests. And this program is designed to eliminate those problems. So if you have a resident that's kind of allowing that to occur, but they're not directly involved in the criminal activity, they could still be held responsible for the actions of their family members or guests on the property.
One of the program's coordinators talks about the goal of working hand in hand with these rental properties.
As the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program Resource Officer, I'm reaching out individually to these property managers, getting to know them, the ones I don't know that I didn't patrol in their area. I'm getting to know them and I'm building that rapport and reaching out to them, letting them know that this program is coming, and we want their involvement, we want their participation, and we want to help them with the problems that they may have.
We want to build those bridges so that way we can communicate. That's kind of what our unit's going to be doing. We're going to be communicating with management staff quite regularly, explaining to them kind of what's going on with their properties. We're hoping at some point that they can start receiving real-time crime data that's going on so they can kind of keep up with it and be proactive and address it as it comes.
Because a lot of these properties are near the MTSU campus, the university is a major partner in implementing the crime-free program.
They are part of Murfreesboro. When you think of MTSU and you think of Murfreesboro, we go hand in hand. The residents of Murfreesboro, a lot of them are MTSU alumni, and the student body of MTSU is a big part of our community.
Recently, Phase 1, an initial training seminar, discussed all phases of the program with property managers.
We had managers as well as assistant managers. We did have one property owner present during that training. What we want is we want the managers to provide a crime-free lifestyle for the residents, and we want the residents to be committed to living a crime-free lifestyle.
Sometimes when they deal with a problem resident, that takes all day, and that means that they have one less day to get all the other stuff they have to get done for their day-to-day operations to run their property. We don't add more work for them to do. We're here to take the workload off of them. I know that we're a growing city and we have growing city problems. And we've always responded in a great way when we've had problems. We did that in a tornado. We did that with the floods, and most recently last year with the protests. And that's what Murfreesboro is all about, is our ability to show everyone how great of a community we are. And so that's why I want this program to be so successful, and that's why I know this program will be that successful.
So if everybody's willing to play their part, then eventually the bad people are going to go away, and then it's going to be nothing but good people that live there. So they can raise their families and they can live in peace and don't have to worry about the violence or the fear of crime.
The Murfreesboro Fire and Rescue Department, along with helpers, converged on neighborhoods to check and replace, if needed, smoke alarms.
The State Fire Marshal's Office recently conducted a study for every fire department in the state. From that, they determined areas that are at high risk for injuries or death from structure fires. Firefighters, the Red Cross, and volunteers gathered at Fire Station 1, then dispersed into the community with a plan to go door to door with free smoke alarms, batteries, and plenty of manpower to get the job done.
We're helping install and check existing smoke detectors. If people have smoke detectors that are not working properly, we'll install new ones free of charge for them. And if they are working properly, then we're good to go. The second thing we're doing is we're helping complete the city census information for 2018. Anybody that hasn't completed that form and filled it out and mailed it in, we're knocking door to door for the people that haven't filled it out, getting that information to help the city out.
Crews set out to their designated areas and began knocking on doors. And officials say response has been great for those wanting help with their alarms. Gathering census data from homes that have not yet participated is a natural fit since they're already out and about. Fire safety and education are top priority for Murfreesboro firefighters for one very important reason.
Fire prevention saves lives. Getting smoke detectors in homes in these areas is critical. A lot of these places don't have working smoke detectors, and it's crucial that they do have them.
Murfreesboro Fire and Rescue says there have already been 20 fire-related fatalities this year in January alone. They say this can be prevented by practicing simple fire safety precautions like checking your smoke detectors and unplugging space heaters when not in use. And with the census deadline coming up, the fire department teamed up with the city in attempts to get more numbers for it so Murfreesboro residents can benefit from the money an accurate count will bring.
A lot of the funds that do come to the city of Murfreesboro are based off of those numbers that are gathered from the census.
Crews were able to cover a lot of ground thanks to everyone who donated their time.
It was a neat experience for us to be able to walk around without that many volunteers and cover that area.
If you would like the Murfreesboro Fire Department to check your smoke alarms, or if you have other concerns, call them anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Their number is 615-893-1422. Reporting for CityTV, I'm Michael Linn White.
March 20th is the first day of spring, and spring high school sports are getting cranked up this month. Rutherford County and Murfreesboro are honored again to host the state championship tournament for these sports.
Murfreesboro and Rutherford County has been proud to host the TSSAA Spring Fling for the last several years. Spring Fling is a state championship tournament for 5 spring high school sports: baseball, softball, soccer, track and field, and tennis. This tournament takes place in May and is a major economic impact for this area.
We're extremely fortunate to be positioned right here in the exact geographic center of the state, which makes us a perfect destination for sporting events. We're proud to host the TSSAA Spring Fling since 2006. And over the last 12 years, the TSSAA Spring Fling will generate over $42 million, and that's $3.5 million every year.
Spring Fling is actually a combination of all of our state championships that we conduct throughout the year. We have right now 21 sanctioned events that we do, state championships that we do throughout the year. Spring Fling is the last event that we do. It is the largest event that we do each year because we bring all of our spring sport championships to Rutherford County, and we conduct that over a period of a week.
Everybody kind of comes together to host this Olympic-style event. We're able to host so many tournaments and events throughout the year because of the validation that Spring Fling gives us with our facilities.
TSSAA stands for Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association. They are the governing body that enforces rules and regulations of middle and high school sports. Childress talks about what TSSAA looks for when searching for a host site for Spring Fling.
When we look at any of our championships, the first thing that we're looking at is, do we have championship facilities available? Can we accommodate the fans as far as hotels and restaurants? Murfreesboro, Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce stepped up, and they've been an outstanding partner with us throughout the years, and we're just excited to be here because they do such a wonderful job with Spring Fling and create that memory that we're looking for our young people.
They, of course, have to have accommodations for 5,000 athletes and 25,000 spectators over the event week. So it's important to have hotels and restaurants, and we feature over 375 restaurants and 4,500 hotel rooms countywide.
Murfreesboro does a fantastic job of hospitality and the restaurants and things to do outside of the actual sport itself is phenomenal.
To host Spring Fling, the city, county, and MTSU all come together to offer up their top-notch facilities. Rutherford County High Schools for baseball, MTSU's Dean Hayes Stadium for track and field, MTSU's Reese Smith Field for baseball championships, and city facilities, Starplex and McKnight Parks for softball, Richard Siegel Park for soccer, and Adams Complex for tennis. Along with these first-rate facilities, hospitality from volunteers gives the event its personal touch.
You've got to have a tremendous amount of workers and volunteers to put off an event like this. I can't tell you the number of people that volunteer their time and their effort just to make this work.
This event requires over 1,000 volunteers, and these volunteers do anything from ticket takers to gate watchers and water volunteers to hydrate the athletes. So we're really hands-on with this event.
I think probably the biggest part that we do is just those smiling faces and making folks feel welcome. Murfreesboro does a great job of welcoming out-of-towners and visitors, and I think that's why we've seen such a growth in our tourism dollars.
The city, county, and chamber work hard to make sure this event stays right here in Rutherford County. Planning goes on practically year-round to make sure this event runs without a hitch.
Well, it truly takes all of our partners working together to roll out the red carpet for this event that showcases everything that we have to offer to 30,000 people during the event week.
Feedback we get is that they enjoy coming to Murfreesboro because there's always a welcoming face. The restaurants have banners and signs welcoming them here. But also the people working the gate, working the concession stand, it's always a nice hospitality that's given up.
Going into facilities, not just talking to people, but seeing the experience that these young people are having, that's what is winning for us. We could care less who wins a ball game. We're trying to teach kids to win in life, and this is a part of it.
As I mentioned, it requires over 1,000 volunteers, so it's a great opportunity for ambassadors throughout the county to get involved and give back to the community and come out and see some of the best high school athletes in the state. And if you would like to volunteer, please call the Chamber. That number is 615-893-6565.
Murfreesboro City Schools Cheerleading Squad heads to Orlando for a national cheerleading competition. Take 31 girls from 8 different schools, ranging in grades from 4th to 6th, and you've got an award-winning competitive cheerleading squad.
MCS, or Murfreesboro City Schools, is the name of the team, and instead of one squad from one school, this team is unique as it's made up of girls from several schools within the city school district. In February, they competed in a national competition in Orlando, Florida.
We started last April. We had tryouts in April, and we started all summer. We spent all summer working on this routine, getting it ready, and then we started competing in about September of this year to work on getting our bid to nationals.
Through fundraisers, donations, and sponsors, the girls raised over $30,000. That money will cover fees, uniforms, food, and more for each girl.
We spent a lot of time this summer at bake sales outside of Walmart, at Buffalo Wild Wings, fundraising money. The girls all worked. We also had a ton of really awesome sponsors in the district as well.
The coaches are also an important part of the team. Premier Athletics coach Matisse Ellison says just how far many of the girls have come.
Mostly a lot of them didn't have tumbling, didn't know what a stunt was, didn't know how to hold a foot in their hand and put it past their head. So it's been a huge improvement. A lot of different skills have been improved, so it's pretty awesome.
The team brought home the 4th place trophy this time, and while they didn't win first place, the girls still had a blast, and coaches said they are proud of them no matter what.
I couldn't be more proud of them, even no matter what happens this weekend. They've improved as a person, individually, so that's all our job is really to do.
Tryouts will be held for anyone wanting to be involved. For more information, visit cityschools.net, scroll down to the bottom of the page, click on the Ask MCS icon. Reporting for CityTV, I'm Michael Linn White. The Rutherford County landfill will be full in about 10 years, so local governments formed the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, or SWAC, to study the problem and come up with a solution. A solid waste consulting firm was hired to head up this study. The SWAC had their 3rd meeting, and they opened the meeting to get the committee up to speed on the study.
We've shared the summaries from Workshop 1 and 2, including the PowerPoint presentations that were given at Workshops 1 and 2. SWAC members also were given the opportunity to see 3 nearby solid waste management sites to learn about their technologies and processing approaches. The working group, which consists of some city staff, county staff, and the consultant team, were given assignments. We were asked to focus on the analysis of the options and include consultant recommendations drawing upon the analysis we did. During that time, Republic Services came forward with more definition to the idea of consolidating the county's landfill and theirs into a management option that we've called Middle Point 2.0. At this point, for tonight's Workshop 3, we're here to have discussion and feedback from the SWAC.
The SWAC had 4 organizational options that they had to choose from that were created after the 2nd workshop.
The first one is, these are sort of the nicknames that they were given, the no action, go it alone. This is to just let the Middle Point landfills close as scheduled, and all the local governments would seek out disposal facilities on their own as sort of retail customers. The next is interlocal agreements. This is a situation where 2 or more of the localities agree to have one of the governments, which it would likely be the county but not necessarily, act on their behalf to procure disposal capacity for them. Creation of a solid waste authority is where 2 or more of the localities create a solid waste authority pursuant to the Tennessee Solid Waste Authority Act of 1991. And a regional solid waste authority is very similar, but it would involve municipalities outside Rutherford County.
The consulting firm recommended creating a solid waste authority and explained why.
As discussed in the development plan, the consulting team's recommendation is that a solid waste authority be created, and so we're going to look at some of the reasons why. The motivations for an authority generally are that you have the autonomous authority and it's responsible for making decisions on a day-to-day basis and for conducting long-term planning. It takes some of the liabilities and off of the member governments, and it can incur debt that doesn't affect the debt burden of its members. The authority also has the ability to enact flow control, which means that they can, for example, require all the waste within the county be delivered to a certain place or exclude waste from outside the authority from being delivered to its facilities.
The Rutherford County Mayor asked the consulting firm if it should be a regional or county authority.
What is your vision, or what is your take on what we should do? Or should we even consider a regional solid waste authority?
The current recommendation is for a county solid waste authority, likely consisting of the county and the city and any of the other cities that want to join.
The reason for a regional authority would be some larger asset like a waste energy plant.
The consulting firm was asked if each municipality in Rutherford County, Eagleville, Laverne, Smyrna, and Murfreesboro would be represented on the authority board.
Would all municipalities have equal representation on that authority?
There's at least one representative from every member. We've outlined a membership profile, if you will, of 3 from the city of Murfreesboro, 3 from the county, and 1 from the smaller cities.
It was also asked, how will rural areas of the county versus more dense areas of the cities be charged for services?
In a rural area where the household wants to take their waste to a recycling center, their fee would be structured so that they're paying for that kind of service. Where you're getting curbside service, for waste, recyclables, whatever, your fee would be higher because you're getting more service. But people are paying their fair share.
Mayor McFarland asked if the SWAC could set limitations on what the authority board can vote on.
Can we delineate or define these are the management options that the municipalities would agree on, but within the solid waste authority, for example, here's one option that we would not.
If you wanted to be more specific at the resolution stage, sure, I would think you could do that.
One of the SWAC members brought up the subject of recycling and the need to have a recycling program.
Do you envision that we would pick up trash at subdivisions and recyclables separate at the curb, or do you have a transfer station or stations that would separate recyclables from the trash at a location at the transfer station?
Separately set out at the curb, preferably in carts, large carts. Every other week is kind of a best practice that we work with. So households would have a 96-gallon rolling cart. You could have that service be provided to households that are within areas that have, this or more density. And others could have access to dropping off the same kind of recyclables at a recycling center, convenience center that was part of the system. So everyone could have access, or they could opt in and ask for service if they were in a less densely populated area. Just pay a different rate, because the distance, what keeps the cost down is the distance between stops is shorter.
A resolution was passed to inch this committee closer to a decision on what to do with the city and county waste in the future.
All right, I'm happy to make the motion to move in the direction, take the steps to move in the direction of exploring the option and ultimately forming a solid waste authority for the governments of this county.
I'll just ask for a show of hands. Do people like that motion? Raise your hand, say yes. I think that's pretty much almost everyone on the council. So I think that passes.
Going forward in this process, there will be time for public input and discussion for the public and for elected officials. Well, that's it for this edition of In the City. As always, for more information about the city of Murfreesboro or any of the stories you've seen here, you can always visit our website at www.murfreesborotn.gov. And if you want to see one of the stories that you've seen today or catch up on some of the latest city news, you can always visit the City of Murfreesboro's YouTube channel. I'm Michael Linn White, and until next time, we look forward to seeing you in the city.